Three-member independent committee investigating recent Apiati explosion submits its reports to government.
Operation Clean Your Frontage campaign takes off in Accra to enforce sanitation bylaws.
Government restores price stabilization and recovery levies, triggering an adjustment of fuel prices at the pump.
Passage of ELevel Bill still hangs in the balance as lawmakers fail to consider bill in Parliament today.
And attempted coup in Guinea-Bissau condemned, as West African leaders blame military for laxity in providing security and safety for the president. Good evening, this is News Hour Live on GBC News and on GTV. We also stream live on Facebook and on YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Samuela Korte.
And mine is Clara Mlano. Robert Frimpong Manso will translate the news into sign language. Good evening.
Now the news in detail. A three-member independent committee set up by government to investigate the 20th January 2022 Apiati accident and explosion has submitted its report and recommendations to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapor.
The IA committee focus was more on the regulatory regime of mining, on the handling and safety of explosives. Work of the three-member committee comprising the advisor to the Minister of Mines, Mr. Ben Aye, a technical director on mines, Mr. Peter Ewa, and Mr. Cletus Alenga, a lawyer, followed an earlier preliminary report presented by the regulator, the Minerals Commission. They looked at the circumstances leading to the Apiati explosion, the extent to which those involved complied or failed to comply with regulations relating to the conveyance, storage, possession, manufacture and use of explosives for mining, quarrying and civil works.
We were able to visit the relevant police stations, talk to the commanders, looked at the logs, records, talked to the police escort assigned for the assignment. We were able to visit Maxam at Eduaprim, talk to the dispatchers and the management as well. We had interviews with the transporter, the explosives driver, the escort driver, the management of Maxam, and also the transporter. We talked to a number of eyewitnesses in the community itself, starting from the chief through a number of others who even helped to convey the injured and so on to the hospitals. And at the end of it all, we have come up with this report, which we believe fairly represents the facts of the case. However, let me emphasize that we will not preempt what the minister will decide to do with our findings and our recommendations.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Samuel Jinapor, said the terms of reference of the committee were limited to compliance with mining regulations and thanked the committee for the swift work.
They were not interested in the criminal culpability per se of the incident of Apiati. That continues to be within the remit of the Ghana Police Service. The other investigations, which I believe are ongoing, be it the Ghana Fire Service and other state agencies. This report and this work is absolutely without prejudice to those ongoing investigations. Neither does it constitute a bar or is without prejudice to any civil liability which may exist in respect of this incident.
The January 2022 incident claimed 13 lives and left an entire community flattened and in debris. For GBC News, Clara Mlano reporting.
Now, an environmental cleanliness campaign dubbed Operation Clean Your Frontage has taken off in Accra. It started with the cleaning of market centers by a combined team of security officers, national service personnel and some officials. It is the beginning of the return of the town council or Sama people. The campaign is intended to inspire a culture of cleanliness and make Accra the cleanest city in West Africa.
The exercise began with the assembling of security officers, national service personnel, and workers from the waste management company, Zoomlion. The Accra Metropolitan Chief Executive, Mrs. Elizabeth Saki, said everybody must get involved in making the capital a clean city.
We are doing this to let them know that, let them be aware that we'll soon bring the summer, and then the guys will say town council into town. And so if you are being caught, you shouldn't say that, oh, it's the MPP, it's the NDC. No.
I'm very happy to make sure and collect my people to watch at the area. If somebody have the toilet and the baller, it put baller to the baller, toilet to the toilet, and that misbehave they do for my area. I don't understand because I'm the super. When my area go shameless, I'm a shameless because I'm a super. Or I will stand for the area and the area make clear.
We have deployed about 60 brand new trucks. We are also going, within the next month, going to deploy about 2,000 tricycles. Brand new 2,000, designed for Accra, covered with container, and is also going to support.
From the Independence Square, the team led by the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Quayson, first stopped at Holy Gardens at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, an attempt by the authorities to remove some illegal erected structures was not well received by the traders. From there, the team proceeded to Kanishi. All those selling on the pavements were made to stay clear of the area. The team then proceeded to Agbogboleshi. The regional minister refuted claims by some people that portions of the land here have been sold to private people. He clarified that not a portion had been earmarked for the construction of a hospital as part of the Agenda 111 project. The group then continued to some areas within the Accra Central Business District, including Kantamanto, and then finally to the Regional Coordinating Council. The regional minister, Mr. Henry Quayson, emphasized that no unauthorized structure on pedestrian walkways would be tolerated.
The rapid response team that will be doing will ensure strict adherence and compliance are currently on training. We hope and pray that all things being equal, by March, the first batch of about 1,500 or 2,000 will have passed out. Then we'll deploy them to some of the places that we just drove through.
The regional minister observed that waste management companies are failing to collect rubbish cleaned from the gutters. He warned that the assembly would terminate the contracts of such defaulting waste management companies. The ex-pump price of petroleum products have gone up at some fuel pumps following the National Petroleum Authority NPA's decision to restore the price stabilization and recovery levies on petrol, diesel and liquefied petroleum gas products effective February 1, 2022. The restored levy is 16 pesos per litre on petrol, 14 pesos per litre on diesel and 14 pesos per kilogram on LPG.
Prices hiked by 16 pesos and 14 pesos on Tuesday, February 1, 2022, following a forecast by the Institute of Energy Securities, IES, that the current increment would be higher than projected if the price stabilization and recovery levy was extended for the month of February. In its projections for the February 2022 first pricing window, the Institute of Energy Securities attributed the increment to hike in Brent crude prices, LPG among other commodities on international markets. The Institute of Energy Security said the price increment could see all the major oil marketing companies crossing the 7 cedi per litre mark for gas, oil and gasoline, moving the price increases for both products over the past 6 months beyond the 16% mark recorded at the end of January 2022. Although some oil marketing companies have not effected a change at their pumps yet, they are likely to do so by the end of the week. Goil maintained its price adjustment tariff and selling at 6 cedis 85 pesos per litre at its outlets across the country.
We now go to Parliament, where Parliament could not consider the electronic transfer ELevel Bill today as initially suggested. At the commencement of sitting on Tuesday, the Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, demanded from the Majority Leader, Mr. Osaiche Mensah Bonso, specific timelines on when the bill would be considered. The bill was scheduled for consideration by the lawmakers last week Friday, but it was rescheduled for this week, probably in today's sitting, but it did not feature on the order paper. The Minority Leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, who raised some concerns about uncertainty surrounding the bill, called on the Majority Leader to give definite timelines for the bill to be considered.
There can be no surprises. So we want the leader of public business to lead us through when it is reintroduce a new bill, or Article 106. The bill is accepted for us to know, or we are continuing wanting under Article 106.
But in a response, the Majority Leader, Mr. Osaiche Mensah Bonso, was skeptical about a definite date for the bill to be considered.
The provisional order paper, you see it advertised for tomorrow. But even that, I told him that we need to confer on that because to all intents and purposes, we may not be able to do it tomorrow. So he asked whether that was an assurance, and I said to him that that is double assurance. That certainly it will not come off tomorrow, but we'll determine when together. I have given you that assurance. So it's not as if anybody wants to spring any surprise.
The Minority Chief Whip, Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, reiterated the need for some clarity on the bill. He, however, urged the Business Committee to take up the matter and provide appropriate timelines.
As the majority that may know, the House works with the business patrons. If there is a need for any variation, it is either we are not taking it and then we'll meet at business committee again to reschedule when it can happen, but not to be between the two leaders, because members need to know, and all of us need to know so that people can plan what they may want to do during the week.
The Deputy Minority Leader, Mr. James Kluche Aveji, had earlier called on the majority to hold on with the bill until the Speaker, Mr. Obanbagbin, returns from a trip outside the country. Meanwhile, at the gates of Parliament, pressure group Justice for Ghana continued picketing in an attempt to dissuade MPs from passing the ELevel Bill into law. The Minister for Health, Mr. Quayson, was also in the House to respond to some questions from the lawmakers. In a health-related development, 4 members of Parliament have filed a private member's motion calling for a bipartisan committee to probe the circumstances under which a pregnant woman died in an ambulance when she was being transported from the Holy Child Catholic Hospital at Fijai near Takrade to the Korle Teaching Hospital on the 4th of January 2022.
A fresh writ filed at the Supreme Court to place an injunction on the embattled Member of Parliament for Asin North, Mr. James Jechi Quayson, has been adjourned indefinitely. The writ filed by a citizen of Asin, Mr. Michael Ankoma Nimfa, is seeking the Supreme Court to prevent Mr. Quayson from holding himself as an MP after the Cape Coast High Court declared his election null and void.
Court adjourned the matter after the writ could not be served on Mr. James Jechi Quayson. The registrar of the court, Mr. Matthew Antie, said a bailiff tried serving Mr. Jechi Quayson through the clerk to Parliament, but he was asked to do so through the Speaker. He said the bailiff went back to serve the MP through the Speaker, but the Speaker's secretary said he was out of the country, so she could not receive the processes. The Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, who is a respondent in the case, said it was wrong to have attempted service through Parliament because the status of the person, an MP, has been determined by a superior court. He said the processes should have been served through personal service rather than through Parliament. A 7-member panel presided over by Justice Jones Duche ordered the applicant, who is represented by Mr. Frank Davis, to assist the registrar to serve Mr. Quayson with court processes. On December 30, 2020, a resident of Asin North, Mr. Michael Ankuma Nimfa, filed a parliamentary election petition at the Cape Coast High Court to contest the eligibility of the Member of Parliament. The High Court on July 28, 2021, declared the election of Mr. James Quayson as void on grounds that he owed allegiance to another country other than Ghana, which violated Article 94(2)(a) of the 1992 Constitution. According to the court, Mr. Quayson, at the time of filing to stand in the election, had not renounced his Canadian citizenship and therefore had failed to qualify to stand for the position. The court then ordered the Electoral Commission to organize a new election for the constituency. Mr. James Quayson then filed an appeal against the High Court's decision while still holding himself as the MP for Asin North.
Now, the University Teachers Association of Ghana says it is ready to negotiate even though discussions have hit a snag. This follows several appeals by the Vice-Chancellors of Ghana and the Ministers for Education for UTAG to return to the lecture halls while negotiations continue, while calling on the government and UTAG to resolve the impasse out of court. Panelists on GTV Breakfast were disappointed about how the strike is affecting continuing students. They agreed that strikes affect good governance. It is anticipated that from March 4, all activities on public universities will shut down if the strike is not called off following the 21-day rule of non-academic activity.
Can be solved or resolved in 2 ways or in 3 ways, either mediation, negotiation or arbitration. Under the Labour Act, it is true that if the NLC gives directives and the striking party fails to comply, they can go to court. And NLC has exercised its powers under the Labour Act. But our appeal to the 2 parties to settle the matter out of court, because it is affecting the academic calendar. Most of the universities are fee-paying students. These students pay fees 100%. What are you doing to them? Government is not happy about the strikes because if UTAG strikes, doctors strikes, it is not good for good governance. So in government's own interest and in the supreme interest of the country, I would suggest that they settle this matter out of court. And it is good UTAG is saying that government is not ready to negotiate or to sit with them. Now they have shifted the blame to government. Government should come out and then demonstrate to Ghanaians that they are prepared to sit with UTAG if this issue can be resolved.
The government must ensure that the very governance he promised Ghanaians, it's well implemented by addressing this issue. Very, very important. We shouldn't get to the stage where we have to shut down our universities. We are only talking about University of Ghana, East Legon, and University of Professional Studies, but the other part of the country as well. You go to Cape Coast, UCC will be shut down. Just think about, just take into consideration the economic activities of the people living around University of Ghana, KNU, the same thing. So it is not just about academic exercise coming to a halt, but the economic implication of the people living around such enclaves. Very, very important.
66-year-old Mr. Edward Bano is Ghana's highest blood donor. Mr. Bano has donated blood 86 times to the National Blood Service to help support patients who needed blood under critical conditions. According to Mr. Edward Bano, blood is a precious resource that should be given freely and willingly. Mr. Edward Bano shared his experience in an interview with GBC News.
Through Korle and Accra neighborhood to meet Mr. Edward Bano, who holds the record in Ghana today as having donated the highest pints of blood to support activities of the National Blood Service. For 46 years, his unique humanitarian gesture has helped to save lives in Ghana. Mr. Bano was a teacher, was later seconded to the BNI. Mr. Bano says it was his church, the Mount Zion Methodist Church Korle, that organized a blood donation session which got him to donate his first pint of blood in 1976.
The first director of the blood bank, who happens to be Dr. S.C. Odamtin, is no more. He came to our church to talk to us about blood donation.
Which year was that?
1976. By then I was 20 years. After that, he told them the next day he would come to take us to the blood bank for the blood donation. He came and we went. I can remember we were about 36. After the donation, we were given provisions, Milo, milk, sugar, and what have you. So that made us to be donating. By then it was every 6 months. You go and then you donate. Now it got to a point, the number decreased because they stopped giving out the provisions. But since I have inculcated the habit of donating, I continued donating.
One of the surprising benefits of donating blood is the lowering of blood pressure and lower risk of heart attacks. Mr. Bano told GBC News that once he got to understand the benefits of blood donations, especially on the part of the blood receivers, he then made it a point to donate at regular intervals. A person's blood type depends on which genes they might have inherited from their parent. There are basically 4 major blood groups: A, B, O, and AB. Each group can be either negative or positive, which means in total there are 8 blood groups. Blood group O, according to the expert, is the most common blood group globally. However, blood group O, like that of Mr. Bano, can safely be dispensed to any other group. At the blood bank, for every pint of blood donated, at least 3 products could be generated, and these are platelets, fresh frozen plasma, and cryoprecipitate.
If, let's say, your problem is a clotting problem, so you have a deficiency in clotting factors, like patients who have hemophilia and you are bleeding, and the specific treatment, which is factor concentrate, is not available, then you benefit from a plasma product. It depends on the hemophilia and which plasma product you will benefit from.
In the case of Mr. Bano, his 86 times of blood donation means that close to 300 Ghanaian lives have been saved through his benevolence. Currently, at age 66, Mr. Bano can no longer donate blood per the global blood donation protocols. However, he's still conspicuous in the activities of the National Blood Service.
It will suffice you to know that ever since I started donating blood, that was 1976, and I said by then I was 20 years. Now my age is 66. I don't have any disease at all. I don't visit the hospital. The secret is that anytime you go and donate, the old blood in you gets out from the system and new one comes in. So cleansing takes place. So every day you are strong and healthy.
To recognize his effort, both his church and the National Blood Service have acknowledged him. This is a poster on the notice board of the Blood Service when Mr. Bano donated his 80th pint of blood.
I'm proud of him, overwhelmed. He's done well, very, very well. Yes.
For some time now, he's also the face of the blood service wherever we want to actually showcase people who have endeared and donated as such. Mr. Bano cannot be left out.
According to the World Health Organization, the need for blood and blood products keeps rising in all parts of the world. And this is because millions of people rely on the generosity of another person to survive. In 2020, the Red Cross drew the world's attention to the declining rate of blood donations, a situation which is even worse in Ghana, according to officials of the National Blood Service. The Red Cross attributes the situation to the current outbreak of COVID-19. As the world is still battling with SARS-CoV-2, predictions are that the global 10% decline in figures, which were recorded in 2020, might even drop further.
The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority has inaugurated an ultra-modern office complex at Akachi in the Akachi South municipality of the Volta region. It is part of the authority's strategic plan to bring services to the doorsteps of the people. The Akachi office complex is the 33rd of its kind in the country and 4th in the Volta region. It is expected to provide services to clients in the southern part of the Volta region.
Prior to the inauguration of its Akachi office complex, clients of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority DVLA in the Akachi municipality and its neighboring district had to trek long distances to Denu, Hohoe and the regional office in Ho to access services of the authority. The new office is to cater for clients in Akachi South, Akachi North, Central and South Tongu and the Anglo districts, as well as the Ketu North municipality. The Volta Regional Manager of the DVLA, Mr. Samuel Lodonu, said as of the third week of January 2022, the Denu and Ho offices had registered a total of 1,200 vehicles, which represented about 10% increase compared to the same period in 2021. He was therefore optimistic the new office would enhance service delivery in the region.
The DVLA, the National Road Safety Authority, and the Motor Traffic and Transport Department, MTTD, of the Ghana Police Service are also collaborating to automate traffic enforcement. Government will not renege on its efforts, but will continue to expand the frontiers of safety in the country by strengthening the capacity of relevant institutions to ensure discipline on our roads.
The chief executive of the DVLA, Mr. Kwesi indicated that the establishment of the Akachi office complex is in line with the DVLA's strategic plan to introduce technology innovation in its service. The board chairman of the DVLA, Mr. Frank Davis, urged the staff to ensure client satisfaction at all times. The Deputy Minister for Transport, Mr. Frederick Obin-Adom, who inaugurated the facility, disclosed that government had begun processes in collaboration with stakeholders to amend sections of the Road Traffic Act 2004, Act 683, and the Road Traffic Regulations of 2012 to promote road safety. He was hopeful the move would contribute to reducing road crashes in the country.
Live on GBC News and on GTV, also streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back shortly. Please stay.
Good evening and welcome. This segment is brought to you by MTN and Whirlpool. I am Dorothy Ajmai. A 7-member board has been appointed to oversee the affairs of the Development Bank Ghana, DBG. Their engagement is in line with the relevant sections of the Development Finance Institutions Act 2020, Act 1032-2020, under which the bank is regulated by the Central Bank. Organizations to be represented on the board on observer status include the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and KfW. In a statement, the Ministry of Finance says, through an open and competitive process coordinated by PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ghana, the board, in consultation with the government, has appointed Kwabena Benti Enchil Dake as the first chief executive. Mr. Dake brings to DBG more than 30 years of experience in finance and investment across different geographies, including the UK, Asia, and Ghana. He has in-depth knowledge in treasury and foreign exchange markets from Deutsche Bank, UK, and Singapore, among others, where he held various senior positions. Other board members, Stefan Losdesdorf, Charles Boama, Rosemary Yeboah, Mary Boachi, Yao Nsoko, and Nora Bannerman Abbott, with Dr. Yao Ansu as chairperson. The Development Bank Ghana is expected to focus on areas such as agribusiness, manufacturing, ICT, and allied services and tourism, so as to propel economic growth, create jobs, and improve domestic revenue mobilization. The bank is to help address the gaps in the Ghanaian credit markets, especially the availability of medium and long-term finance for the private sector, as well as facilitate business growth and job creation and accelerate economic transformation by supporting the financial sector through participating financial institutions, PFIs, in both the banking and capital markets industries. DBG has become a key institution to promote private sector-led growth under the Ghana Cares Obatampa program, which is seen as an essential element for Ghana's economic transformation post-COVID. Before the end of the first quarter of 2022, the Ghana Enterprises Agency will announce a technical assistance and high-growth SME fund as part of the Ghana Economic Transformation Project. The grant will be given to SMEs that have solely been impacted negatively by COVID-19. Beneficiaries of previous government interventions can only benefit if funds collected earlier were used for the intended purpose and documented.
For the Ghana Economic Transformation Project to transform the economy and support more SMEs, which means that we were going to provide more support to SMEs and to build them. But in 3 months onwards, we will roll out the technical assistance and access to finance component that would provide really targeted interventions to SMEs to help them grow. So we're looking at businesses with employees above 6. And that's what we intend to do, to go into those businesses and really help build them, because we need to build industry giants. And so as much as possible, that intervention is also to create industry giants across various sectors so they can actually also go out, create employment, improve the economy, and move us to the next step. If you took access to finance under the CAP business support and you have not paid it, or you're not paying back, and you're not providing the necessary support, we can't come back and provide you with the support. We are going to do monitoring, and we're monitoring all these businesses. So the more you put into transforming your businesses to make it a success, you do it. Nobody wants to invest in something that is not moving forward. You want to invest in success because you know that if you give them funding, they would help, they will build, they would grow. So that's what we intend to do.
You're still watching News Hour, and this is the business segment. Let's have the performance of the local currency on the forex market and the prices of some commodities. This segment was brought to you by MTN and Whirlpool. Coming up is the energy segment. Please do stay.
Everything is possible. Whatever seems unreachable becomes even closer. Building partnerships. Redefining the norms. Because when we connect, being there becomes possible. And new ideas come to life. Stay ahead and stay connected with MTN Business Broadband. Superior internet solutions that drive your dreams. Sign up today on broadband.mtn.com.gh or call or WhatsApp 0244 308 111.
Business is a collapse. I'm
take quick credit in Ghana.
Quick credit?
Yes, quick credit. Who pesika? Eddie Astati Jumebi. Who here Bisian Eddie Atre Ujodim. Who here government and a private worker. Who pesika de ate hot so. Who here Busumi Juma. Who here Sikadia Bibin Tempe so. Quick credit Bema loan. And what you are in Kakra. Now, a little some Cassian say. A collateral free loaner, susu, savings, account opening, and a deposit as MBL. Here and say, Ghana card. 2022 year, 1 year Juma, now one hour young. Who need excuse here? Credit to 03022 00390 and 05969 20833. But see, not quick credit check us or two.
Hello, welcome to the Energy News segment. My name is Mabel Anang. The Volta River Authority VRA is intensifying its clean and renewable energy agenda by investing more in Steel and Bongo Phase 2 projects. The move is to ensure affordable tariffs for Ghanaians. Deputy Chief Executive of VRA is Mr. Emmanuel Safo.
We want to have, as we've always said, still continue our mandate as a public service organization by the private sector mindset. And we believe this will let us live our vision of a model of excellence in power utilities in Africa. We will continue to drive towards digitalization and innovation. Our IT and OT systems are being overhauled, as I believe that will drive us towards the future. We'll continue to invest in clean and renewable energy projects. And some of them, as you see, as listed here, we have the Kalio Phase 2, Bongo 1 and 2, the floating solar and the wind projects. We also will continue efficiency enhancement projects, which will, at the end of the day, lead to lower tariffs. Lower tariffs, once again, as to will pass on the advantage of lower cost tariffs to our customers.
On the agenda of the new Director General of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, GAEC, Professor Samuel Boakye Dampare is to make the Commission a globally recognized, nationally relevant scientific research organization in the field of nuclear and allied sciences. He made this known when he formally took office.
Professor Dampare is the 9th executive head and the 4th Director General of the Ghana's foremost scientific research institution with a niche in nuclear science and technology. Professor Dampare was the Deputy Director of the Ghana Space Science and Technology Institute, GSSTI, of Commission. He also served as the Vice Dean of the Graduate School of Nuclear and Allied Sciences of the University of Ghana and the head of the Neutron Activation Analysis Laboratory at the Ghana Research Reactor 1, GHARR1, Center of GAEC. In his maiden speech as Director General of GAEC, Professor Samuel Boakye Dampare pledged to support and address challenges that hinder the Commission's vision.
Looking back, the Commission has made remarkable progress in health, agriculture, industry, water resources management, energy studies, and space science in Ghana and beyond, with respect to the application of nuclear and allied technologies.
Professor Dampare highlighted some key strategies to help push the Commission's agenda to fall in line with its plan for 2022 to 2026.
The vision of the Commission is underpinned by the following strategic priorities, as highlighted in the GAI's Corporate Strategic Plan 2022-2026. That is research and development, innovation and technology transfer, human resources development through education and training, commercialization and funding for our research activities, strategic partnerships, physical infrastructure development, and promotion of nuclear power into Ghana's energy mix.
GAEC board member Professor Alexander Nyakon was also sworn in as Deputy Director General of the Commission.
Time now for health, brought to you by Lufat, Tobingo's premium gifts to Africa. The Korle Teaching Hospital is gearing up to become the medical tourism hub in West Africa. The hospital has refurbished and expanded works on a number of its facilities. The latest is the ongoing construction of the new specialized unit to enable it to offer comprehensive care to patients. A report by Sarah Furi.
Many of the infrastructure at the Korle Teaching Hospital are as old as the hospital itself, almost a century old. Hence, they have outlived their lifespan and require refurbishment. Also, with the emergence of new diseases, fields of medicine and technology, it has become necessary for the hospital to expand and upgrade its services and infrastructure to enable it to offer better care. While a number of wards have been refurbished, others such as the maternity and surgical blocks are yet to be refurbished.
In the recent history of the hospital, we've not seen such a major infusion of capital or investment in the Korle infrastructure. At the moment, we have a urology center of excellence coming up. The psychiatry department is undergoing an expansion. We have a fevers unit undergoing major innovation. We have a gas plant being established. We also have the diabetes center undergoing a major renovation. The maternity block is coming up.
The head of the psychiatric department, Professor Angela Furiata, mobilized funds to expand the department to include the clinic wing, academic and administrative wings. An assessment of work done indicates that the one-story building will be ready for use by mid-February.
This is the clinical wing. The next phase is at least another story up from here, maybe two. And this will be the academic wing.
Meanwhile, the foundation works of the 101-bed capacity nephrology unit is complete. The complex forms part of government's Agenda 111 and estimated at 38 million euros. The facility will have an OPD, administration, a school, and a unit solely for urology and dialysis. The fevers unit has also been expanded into an infectious diseases control unit. The 90-bed facility is about 78% complete. It has a driveway ambulance bay, pharmacy, laboratory, theater, x-ray, isolation and holding centers, among others. According to the Chief Executive, Dr. Opoku Ampoma, as the hospital upgrades its electronic services to reduce the burden of accessing care by patients, these infrastructural developments will also position the hospital as a medical tourism hub in West Africa. Sarah Furi, GBC News, Korle Teaching Hospital, Accra.
Now, Ghana is experiencing its fourth wave of COVID-19. This started in the second week of December, with the country recording over 1,000 cases a day. However, according to the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Siasari, the mass vaccination drive has helped stem the number of daily cases recorded. He spoke on GTV Breakfast.
Force anybody, nobody has been tied up and then given the vaccines. So when I hear people talking about vaccines are mandatory. I tend to disagree with them. What I think is that everybody who is going to be vaccinated knows what the importance of vaccines are. We've agreed, and then NITAC has agreed that you can combine. You can take Moderna. If you want to take Pfizer, you can also take Pfizer as a second dose. So it's accepted. The same way as we have now said that pregnant women can also have the Pfizer vaccines. We have seen a lot of pregnant women going through a lot of problems when a few of them who got infected here in Ghana. You should also be aware that if your name is not in the national database, which goes globally, if you're holding a fake vaccination card, one day, you'll be found out.
And the Ghana Health Service is pushing ahead firmly with its campaign to make vaccines accessible to everyone across the country. The idea is to vaccinate 2.5 million people from Wednesday, February 2 to Sunday, February 6, 2022. The Deputy Director, Public Health of Greater Accra, Dr. Akosua Sekaisi, said one qualifies for a booster jab 3 months after they have been fully vaccinated. She made this known on GTV Breakfast.
Since the vaccination drive started in March 2021, over 10 million Ghanaians have been vaccinated as of January 24, 2022. Out of this number, 3.3 million have been fully vaccinated, 7 million have taken at least one dose and are awaiting their second dose. So far, Ghana has received 25 million vaccines.
In December alone, we did about 3 million doses administered just in December. Wow. In January, so we are almost at 2 million so far. As at the middle of January, we're about 2 million. From the 2nd of February to the 6th of February. Okay. That's basically tomorrow till Sunday. And the idea is that we want 2.5 million Ghanaians to come out and get vaccinated.
The most highly vaccinated districts on record in the Greater Accra are Adenta, followed by Gas Central, Ayawaso West and Korle Klote. However, due to vaccine hesitancy and other challenges, some communities are recording low results.
Peri-urban areas, so Shai Osudoku, Ningo Pram, then Weja, Bawe, Gas South have very low coverages. And we are hoping that in this campaign, people who live in those areas would come out and get vaccinated.
For challenges on data and reports not showing when scanned, the Ghana Health Service says this has been rectified. The national COVID-19 vaccination takes place in all public health facilities and designated vaccination sites, some private hospitals and mobile approaches in churches and mosques.
And that was the health segment brought to you by Lufat, Tobingo's premium gift. So Africa International News is next.
Some news from across our borders. At least one person is said to have been killed in the capital of the West African state of Guinea-Bissau amid fears of a coup attempt. Gunfire erupted near a government building in Bissau where President Umaru Sissoco Embalo was thought to be attending a cabinet meeting. Soldiers have reported